Reconnect and heal today. Welcome to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Love Never Dies Radio on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Networks TV. So I have a question for you. Are you ready to embrace the power of your deepest gifts? If you said yes, you're going to want to meet my beloved friend, Ken Page. He's a renowned psychotherapist and a leading voice of hope and wisdom for everyone seeking to find and cultivate healthy, lasting love. He is the host of the Deeper Dating podcast, author of the best-selling book, Deeper Dating, How to Drop the Games of Seduction and Discover the Power of Intimacy, and the creator of the Deeper Dating course. He's been featured in the Oprah Magazine, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Cosmopolitan, The Advocate, and more. Ken is passionate about helping people understand the search for love, and he sees the search for love as one of the greatest spiritual adventures in life. He lives in Long Beach, New York with his husband and children and their pets. So Ken, I'm so happy to see you and have you on.
Jamie, so glad to be here. Thank you.
You know, when you said that, Ken, I actually felt my heart burst with love. It was actually a visceral sensation. And it's because I felt the love coming through the timbre of your voice. I actually felt it. And you know, it's so energetic, the feeling, that it literally jumped through the energy pipeline, through my computer to my heart. So, I mean, that is such a profound gift that you have of being able to convey love. And it's so obvious. It's not like the phony, oh, how are you, air kiss, darling? It's real.
Those are such beautiful words. You're amazing. And I love, you just did what you said I did. So I'm so glad we get to be here and actually see each other too, because you've interviewed me before, and I've interviewed you, but never like this.
We've never actually met face to face.
No. Yeah.
I know, that's so special. And so, I love also how the main thrust, if I may say, of your work is how to embrace your core gifts, your authentic, intimate core gifts, the universal part of yourself. And I love how you say these most tender parts are the clues to your deepest spiritual gifts, the way of achieving true intimacy, and your life mission is wrapped up in these most tender parts of the self. So would you talk more about that?
Absolutely. And you framed it, so beautifully, as you do, Jamie, and I really appreciate that. I think on some level, there's a calibration that we could do at any moment where we make a choice where we're going to come from inside ourselves. And I want to give an image to everybody that you can picture really easily that's going to be the map. This one tiny image is going to be our roadmap to the greatest adventure that could exist in our lives. And so this simple map is just a target. And you could imagine that this target has a series of concentric rings. And this target and this journey is the journey to the center of the target, the center of the bullseye. And if you imagine that as you get closer to that center of the target, you are getting closer to the beating heart of your humanity. You're getting to the place where you are living your truth and experiencing your truth and experiencing your heart and holding it with what I call cupped hands, which means with a space of compassion and caring. That's the Holy Land. That's the amazing land. Do we have all the answers when we're in this place? No. But the winds of inspiration hit us and we're permeable to them when we're in this center of the target. And that's where our wisdom and our help in figuring out the crazy, crazy complications of life and love and our mission, that's where those winds of inspiration come from. So that's what happens when you move closer in. And at any moment, we can recalibrate. I can recalibrate right now and say, am I living from my heart at this second? And I can recalibrate and I can feel the difference. I feel my heart. I feel my presence. So, but the further out we go, the further away we are from the heat of the center of our being, the beating heart of our humanity. That's when we get more defended, more fake, more numb, more disconnected, more people pleasing, less original. And the further out we get, the colder and the emptier the universe feels. And that's the map that I want to present to all of you. And of course, the key to your core gifts is in moving toward the center.
That's so poetic what you said, and so true.
Mm,
As you were describing that image of the bullseye and the center of the bullseye being your heart, right? It's at the
yes.
center of you. I started thinking about how hitting the bullseye requires you to have the courage to allow your heart to be broken and
Mm.
broken open. Because I bet you would agree with me that to get to that place of being unarmored, you have to be broken open.
I think that's really true. And I think that, like, as we get there, there's a ring of fire we have to pass through. And it's the facing of our grief and our heartbreak and our hurt and our sadness. And for all of our fear of being that risk taking. So I do agree that that really is a part of the journey. But at the same time, I also want to say that when you live that way consciously, you reduce your pain level dramatically. Because when you choose to live that way, knowing how hard it is, how real it is, how authentic it is, how precious it is, you lose your taste for people that are not willing to live that way. They become less interesting. Their ability to disempower you becomes less. Your fear of rejection from those people become less. And you just get more discriminating. And God knows that saves us a lot of pain. You know, I know, Jamie, you live that way. You just live that way. You live with, what is my heart telling me about who this person is and how I feel? You live that way, you know, in a very intrepid way. And the people who know your work see how you live that way.
That's very true. And I feel I got a chill because I felt so seen by you. And in
Mm,
being so seen and understood, that's like the deepest wish of me and every soul.
mm,
And I
yeah.
can't have you see me without me being intrepid enough to let you see me,
Oh, yes.
you know? I call it leaping off the ledge of love. So
Oh, I
I'm kind of
love
like
that.
trusting you will catch me. But if you don't catch me and understand me, I can't take the leap if I haven't already given that gift to myself first.
That is so true. And if you like that feeling that, I don't know, I think especially when we're younger, it's like we come to a romantic relationship with our soul in our hands, hoping and praying that the person will be able to honor it and treasure it. And we all go through that our entire lives. But as younger people, our fate is in the hands of the people that we fall in love with. Because if they don't treasure those parts, we it's like a referendum on our very existence.
Really, and you and I are so in attunement that I always use the example of hold me like a little bird in the palm of your hand,
Oh,
holding my heart and my
yeah.
soul. And I'm so tender like birds with the hollow bones, and they can be crushed so easily.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
that is, you know, you know that you and I are so similar in this that we really believe that the relationship is the healing agent. Because if I
Yeah.
can take that leap to be authentic with you, and then you see me and hold me, you're giving me the love and the acceptance I didn't get in my deformative years.
I love that. Deformative years. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, the what's so fascinating there is that the people that we're the crazy attracted to, like sick, like weak down to our bones, like they hold our being in their hands, they're the answer. Those people, they really feel like the answer. But what's going on in those cases usually is that our psyche understands that these people will hurt us in the same way that we were most deeply hurt in our childhood. And it's like we're trying to go back to the scene of the crime to
Yes.
get the original perpetrators to finally love us right, which
Oh,
is a
yes.
recipe for hell. But man, it feels like seductive, and it feels like love, and it
Yes.
feels
And
like,
it's so exciting, I say, because we are in the throes of the hope. And the hope that you're going to give me all the emotional goodies my crazy family, my parents didn't give me. I'm so activated with excitement because I think hope is going to really be won out this time. I'm going to get what I
right.
get. And I think that does make the bells go off. Oh, I'm in the throes of hope. And because my unconscious knows you're just like that person who let me down in my family.
Exactly, exactly. And even under the gold of the relationship is another deeper gold, which is like, if you love me, then I will finally be worth it. I will
Absolutely.
finally be worth it.
That's
And
the
that's the
fantasy.
deeper one.
That's that
Y-
fantasy, right? I don't love myself because if my parents didn't love me, that narcissistic child brain, well, I wasn't lovable. So I'm going to spend my whole life like a beggar with a cup or an orphan. Just throw a coin in the cup and then I'll love myself.
Yes, I'll take the crumbs. I'll take the crumbs. Yes,
And
it's
if
so
I love
true.
I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I'll be lovable.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is in these attractions, which I call attractions of deprivation.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we usually do it with people who sometimes love us and
Oh,
sometimes treat us right. So it's like the gold is just dangling there, the possibility of that kind of
I'm glad
appreciation.
you said
And
that.
then, yeah, yeah. But then here's something else that's so fascinating about that. And I'm kind of jumping ahead in the core gift concept, but when there is a core gift of yours, and I'll talk more about like how we know what they are, how we know what our core gifts are. When there's a core gift, a place in you that's deeply sensitive, deeply passionate, most alive, and you feel embarrassed or ashamed of it, like, oh God, that part of me is too much. That part of me is never going to be sexy to anybody. That part of me will never be like romantically desirable. That part of me will never be accepted. When we feel that way about particular core gifts of ourselves, we are going to end up sexually and romantically attracted to people who step on those parts of us. And we're going to hope and pray that we could finally get them to love those parts of us, because then we will feel worthy and we'll feel justified. And the psychiatrist Donald Winnicott, who was a brilliant theorist, said this so well. He said, we all have a true self. And it's so precious and so valuable, like those hollow bones of a bird. It's so tender and precious that we create a false self to cover it up so that we protect ourselves and so that we're more people pleasing and we're safer in the world. But what Winnicott says is the need to protect that true self is so deep that often we would actually rather die than have that part hurt. And that's drug addiction. That's drug addiction.
Anything
That's
to numb that.
alcoholism.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. That's being in an abusive relationship. That's treating ourselves badly. These are indirect ways that we would rather die than have our core self annihilated by the world.
Yes, and you know, the idea is because I feel so unlovable inside, if I were to dare to reveal who I really am, I would be loathed and hated, rejected and abandoned. So there's that belief I have to put out the false self. You know, I have to hide because if you really knew me, you would hate me and you would abandon me the way or abuse me the way my parents did. So you
And
think of
that's
it as survival, right? To hide who you really are.
And that's the journey. That is the journey right there, homeopathically, drop by drop. Here's a really interesting thing looking at that target image. We're saying that the center is the core of who you are, but there's an area like a ring around that center, the first ring in, that I call the gift zone. And when we're close enough to that center, even if we're just touching shoulders to it, even if we're just sensing it mildly or lightly, we are lit from within by that beauty. There is a magic in us. Like I remember I was walking with an ex of mine on the boardwalk at sunset, and the light was so beautiful. You know, the way the light can be so beautiful. And he said, I think this is like the time of day that everybody is truly beautiful because they're all glowing. And because of that golden light of the sun.
Wonderful thing to say.
Yeah, and when we touch this place, when you're in your gift zone, you are beautiful to the people who are looking for someone like you. You are lit from within. You are glowing. So you don't have to be right in the center. As long as you're close enough that you touch your humanity, the beating heart of your humanity, your tenderness, your aliveness. And also, there's other things that come with that, a sense of peace, a sense of expansion, things that we take for granted because we think, well, everybody must have that. But those are our holy places. And the big secret is not how hard those places are to get to, but how hard it is to remember that we have access to them moment by moment.
You know, as you're talking, I was thinking, what kept coming to me is the old scars and how it's linked to the core gifts. And I was thinking, you know, I was born 3 months early and I only weighed 2 pounds. And I
Wow.
spent the first 3 months in a preemie hospital. And a psychic said to me, your mission to connect souls was born then because you didn't want anyone to suffer the pain of disconnection that you were
Oh,
feeling. So I truly feel this, that out of our deepest pain comes these callings, you know, our core gifts out of that wounded part of the self, that if you can mine your misery and work it through and then transform it into a mission where you're assisting others. I believe that.
I think that's so true. But I think there's also a kind of spiritual DNA that we're born with. Like, for example, the story you gave, you could have also you could have organized your being in a way not to help others from that pain, but
Yeah,
to never feel that pain again, no matter what it cost you or anyone else.
that's true. That is,
Yeah.
you can choose to close like a clam. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and but you couldn't choose. You couldn't choose
yeah.
because of who you are. You couldn't choose. I mean, God knows you could have, and you probably thought of it a million times, and you tried in different ways, but it would never work.
Yeah, it was never who I could be.
Yeah.
It's not who I am. You're right. I'm more of a warrior, and you have to go, you know, into the eye of the storm and face it. That is true, and and I know, you know, it's funny because when my beloved husband was stung by a bee, and I was weeping the day before his funeral, my mother said to me, "You should have never let yourself love him so much, because then
Oh,
you wouldn't hurt so much now." But that's not the journey.
no,
That's
no,
not what it's
no.
about.
And this is something that you talk about, Jamie, so exquisitely, is that when you lose somebody and you let yourself feel the pain and the love and the connection, there is a way that their presence lives inside of you, but you don't get that unless you feel what's in your heart. So, yeah, that's a whole different direction, but a
Right,
really
right, right.
precious one.
But I think we have, it's really, so I know that getting to this divine place that you're talking about, we do have to walk through the fire. But in the walking through the fire, there's a kind of like you're describing a freedom. You know, it's like I'm not hiding anymore. And when you're all broken open, all the love of eternity, of God, of spirit, whatever you want to call it, fills you, you know, to
Yeah, and
overflow.
it's such a profound thing. That's the reason I'm a therapist, is just what you're describing, is that when I work with someone and we get to the place which is the core of the pain and we can hold it with cupped hands, magic happens and something comes out of it. And that's the core gift concept, which is the core gift concept is these places that are part of our DNA. They are our DNA. They're the key to intimacy, they're the key to love, and they're the key to our life mission, are the places where we have often felt the most unlovable awkward, traumatized, wounded, embarrassed, and ashamed. Now, somehow the universe and life is built this way. And I know that to be true. I believe that to be true because I've seen it so many times. I was so ashamed of my tenderness and vulnerability. Why? Because I was a gay kid growing up in a culture that didn't think that that gentleness was really very pretty or wonderful in a guy. Um, and a friend of mine wrote a song about that. He called it God Save the Queen. And it was about the pain of gay people. And
Love
he
it.
called it a gentle elegance that no one celebrates when it's in a boy.
Oh, how
And
so soul crushing.
yes, yes. So for all these reasons, plus being born of Holocaust survivor parents who really believed that, toughness was the way to survive, this became the part of me that I was the most ashamed of. So who was I sexually attracted to? The bad boys. Who was I romantically attracted to? The cocky bad guys who didn't feel the feeling of pain that like the world could knock you down at
They
your
were like
knees.
they were like your parents' ideals, so and we tend to go for our parents anyway, usually our mom or the parent we had most difficulty with. We're going to have to take a break. Please,
Sure.
please stay with me. I'll be back with you in a moment on Love Never Dies Radio and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love. Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf here, and I have a question for you. Are you or someone you love a veteran suffering from undiagnosed PTSD? According to statistics, between 100 and 200,000 vets suffer PTSD. But did you know that there's an arbitrary diagnostic loophole that denies the PTSD diagnosis to vets who suffer a coexisting mental health disorder? Meanwhile, according to the British Psychiatric Journal, it is rare for vets to suffer PTSD without a coexisting mental health disorder. This means that millions of vets with PTSD don't even know they have it and aren't getting treatment for it. Read my new column, Winning the War on PTSD, in mastersofhealthmag.com and discover a cutting-edge, research-backed new solution to PTSD that you've never heard about. The exciting news is this solution is free for vets with PTSD. Go to mastersofhealthmag.com, take my free PTSD quiz right away, and start your healing journey today. Wishing you all the love in this world and beyond, I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Love Never Dies is now on the Dream Vision 7 radio network every Wednesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Time. Dr. Jamie Turndorf, also known as Dr. Love, is the #1 international best-selling author of Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one, tune in and find out how to reconnect and heal any unfinished business using Dr. Turndorf's groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique. Visit AskDrLove.com to find out more.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
You're listening to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you yearn to get along better with your life partner or spouse, friends, family members, and even coworkers, Dr. Turndorf's book, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, Dr. Love's 10 Simple Steps to Cooling Conflict and Rekindling Your Relationship, shows you how to turn conflict into connection for a lifetime of lasting love. Find out more about Kiss Your Fights Goodbye at AskDrLove.com. This is Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. This show is for you, the listener. Once again, here's Dr. Turndorf.
This is Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and I'm on Love Never Dies Radio on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Networks Television. And I'm talking with my dear friend, Ken Page, about your core gifts and how they are linked to true love and your true calling in life. Now, before we took a break, I was thinking about, if you'd be willing, Ken, could we talk about, make it more palpable for the people watching and listening? You left us with how difficult it was for you to be such a tender young man, and having been raised by Holocaust survivors who championed being tough. And so you chose bad boys as lovers. So could you talk us through your own journey of how you went from that place of stuckness to, like, walk me through the process that you went through until you finally came out and accepted, I don't mean came out and accepted your gayness, came out and accepted your vulnerability and your authenticity, and how that then led you to your core gifts, your calling, and true love. Could you describe the process?
Absolutely, absolutely. And coming out is a universal task. It's like an initiation, right? So it happens if you're gay and you have to come out, but it's much more universal than that. Like an initiation, right, is where you're confronted with a task that's so hard and scary that you don't know you could do it. And then you do it, and you come out the other end more you. So, we all have to come out with our core gifts. And so I'm glad you asked that, Jamie, because it's universal. This journey that I'm telling about myself, when I lead my classes and courses and intensives, it's always the same journey. That those parts of ourselves that we didn't really fully champion, that were core parts of ourselves, that ends up being the secret of being able to find love and healthy love. So yeah, so I just kept choosing the wrong people. And God knows I wanted a relationship badly. I tried. I did everything. I was on it for decades. I was on it for decades, failing again and again. I even started a support group for chronically single psychotherapists like me.
Chronically single psychotherapist.
Yes, I did, because there are a lot of us. There are a lot of us. And I'll say more later about the gifts and the wounds around that, because the same things that have kept us single, kept so many of us single, are the very gifts that make us good psychotherapists and coaches and healers. So those parts of myself I was ashamed of. I was so ashamed of. I remember being in therapy with a wonderful therapist, and we reached a point where we were thinking about my 8-year-old self. And this chubby, effeminate 8-year-old me. And she said to me, "Can you look at him? Can you look at him in the eye?" And I said to her, "No, I cannot. And I will not. I
Oh.
can't. I can't." I felt such shame, such mortification at who he was, at who I was. And that was the wound that I lived with. So what did that turn into? That turned into the denial of those qualities, turned into being attracted to the wrong people and trying to get them to love me so that I could get whatever this mojo was that they had,
Think
where they
about
didn't give a shit.
But the thing is, if you're hiding who you really are and saying, "But please love me," it's never going to hit the bullseye, because they're not loving who the real you is anyway.
That's right. And it's a double not hit the bullseye, because I've chosen somebody who doesn't organically love me for who I am.
Exactly.
That's why they're so hot.
Exactly.
So this is the path to hell. This is the path to relationship hell. But man, it feels like love. And, so many of us relate to this. So somehow, through a combination of therapy and spiritual work, I re-encountered those treasured gifts of vulnerability in me, and I began to love them. And as I did that, the most stunning and surprising thing happened. I found that my sexual romantic attractions were changing. I was becoming attracted to nice guys, and they were interested in me. And then I knew my world had changed. And it
You
continued.
had to embrace yourself and love yourself, and then that becomes a mirror that reflects out and back to you.
Exactly. And when you do that, you change your field.
Yeah.
Just like an atom that has an extra amount of positive or negative charge has to look for another atom that has the corollary charge so that they can bond and become molecules. We have a field that we create. And when there is a hole in our ability to love our most tender, passionate, unique parts, which is also the artist's journey. We'll talk about that too, hopefully. But when there's a hole there, there's a lack. We look for people who are going to fill that hole. They're people who we think are the kind of people we were supposed to be, but never could be. Someone who ends up stepping on us, because when you deny a core gift or you suppress it, it's actually an act of quiet violence. It's not just a suppressing, it's a violence.
It's a
It's a quiet
self-mutilation,
violence.
really. It's a form of like self-murder. It's murder
It
to
is,
self.
it is. We don't recognize it, we don't know it. But every day that I was hating that 8-year-old, I was hurting myself, but I didn't know it. I was just protecting myself.
So
But
thought,
so the formula is that when we deny our core gifts, we create a vacuum inside. And nature abhors a vacuum. It's a vacuum where we're supposed to be. And always, 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 it's going to be filled with masochistic situations. Always, always that's going to happen. And that's what Jung called projection. So when I started loving these parts of me, my inner organization shifted, my field shifted, and I became attracted to, like that atom, I became attracted to, and I attracted different beings. And then there was an entire journey that came out of that because I was teaching everything I learned at the same time. I was so bad at dating. I was so bad at finding love, but the goal and the hunger was so great. So I started teaching what I was learning, which led to my book and my podcast and all of the different ways I teach. And now to an actual website and event where single people can meet online in an environment that sparks intimacy instead of isolation. It's called Deeper Dating, and I'm thrilled about it, and it's just being launched in the world.
oh, how wonderful.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is it like it's like a dating website for people who are on the path and on the journey?
Or in any way, shape, or form. And they don't even have to identify in that way, but they have to be committed to being good people and looking for good people. And so the way that it works is you go there and you can just go to deeperdating.com to find out more. The site is not quite live yet, but it's going to be live in a week for the
Oh,
first
good
time.
timing.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, and you fill out a very detailed profile and your values, your interests, your passions, and then you join an event with all these other people in your demographic, whatever that is. And I break people into small groups and I ask them questions like, talk about a pet you've loved, talk about someone you love who's living far away now. Talk about a person who changed your life. Like fabulous questions that make people glow. They all meet and they go into room after room and answer these fabulous questions. They connect, they share with each other. And then afterwards, there's a dimensional community where they can connect and instant message and videotape chat with each other for as long as they want. In other words, the concept being, if you want to create matches, you don't just look for connecting people, you create an environment that generates intimacy. If the
Oh, yeah.
medium of the environment isn't intimacy, then it won't work. And that's why, even with this crazy proliferation of dating sites, there are just as many single people in the country as they were before all of this online dating started, maybe more. There's a reason for
And
that.
you and I are so, our souls are so interconnected. What you're describing is something I wanted to do, and I just never got around to doing it.
Oh, I so believe that, Jamie. Because we're
That
so in sync. Well, I also have thought leaders come and speak. So hopefully one day you could do that at one of the events.
love to. That would be lovely. Because, and I actually thought, because everything comes down, we're social animals. We need to connect. And I had actually thought, could I do something like this where you get a second chance family, where you don't have a father he lost his grandson and wants a grandchild who wants a grandpa, and you just go in and you create familial communities like this where you get to connect and emotionally communicate. It's the same thing you're talking about.
Wow.
I just blew your mind, right?
You blew my mind. You blew my mind. I'll tell
Got to
you,
break it
like,
and hold, because you'll have to hold your head until you come back, since I blew it in some way, but we'll come back and then maybe your head will be back.
maybe it will.
Okay, I'll be back.
Newly shaped, newly formed. Yes.
Be back with you in a moment on Love Never Dies Radio and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love. Oh, you know what it is? I'm all screwed up today. My head isn't on straight. I said I was going to take a break. Ken, we have 3 more minutes in this segment.
Oh, ha, ha.
So I don't know what. And of course my engineer's thinking, wait a minute, I'm in the bathroom. What's she doing? Or wherever he is.
Well, then can I say something about what you said?
Please.
Yeah, here's what I want to say. I want to say that at a certain point in my intimacy journey, after not finding a partner, something shifted in me and I felt called to become a father. And I adopted my child as a single dad, as an infant from Cambodia. That was where love called me. And that ultimately led me to my husband, who is also a dad. But so many of us at different points in our life are not ready to take that journey to become a parent, but have that ache. And so many children ache for and need parental figures. Sometimes I felt like I was like, as a gay man, like sitting at this long, long table, eating this gooey, glorious, whipped cream-filled ice cream sundae, which was parenthood. And everyone was sitting there, and they didn't have that ice cream sundae, and I wanted them to be able to have it too. What you just said is so amazing, and I think I literally think that would be world changing, and I would like to use the platform that I'm creating, if you want to help create that.
Oh, how beautiful. That is, I weep really, because, you touched me so deeply when you said that, because for me, it was just one of the many ideas that I had in my mission to connect souls, right? And there aren't enough hours in the day. And what you just did by saying, let's make the platform open to this, I just thought, oh my gosh, it's like the gift from the heavens saying, Jamie, we're just opening the portal for you to bring
We
out.
built the platform. It's made for this. Make this happen if you like. It's yours. What a gift to the world this would be. My mom,
Yeah.
who is a senior citizen, does an exercise class, and it's senior citizens and special needs elementary school children, and they dance together and they do art together and they bond together.
We need to connect. And you see, because you and I know that the connection isn't direct, like all the other dating sites, the connection is, oh, I like tennis. That's all garbage. That's all superficial. We're talking about connecting at the level of the heart and the soul around
Yes.
our core values. And I was thinking, when I was thinking about creating the Dr. Love personal site, I wanted to make people connect people based on these core qualities, which is what you're doing through the groups. We're identifying these core qualities. And this is what we're talking about. We need to have families where we connect. And so few of us come from biological families that are our true families. That's what the power of group is. It's your second chance family, right?
Yes.
And then
yes.
and we need this antidote against this horrible disconnection and invisibleness,
Absolutely.
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 Let's take it. I just love you, Ken. You bring me to tears. And again, let's take a break. I already said what the show is. Let's just take the break.
Okay.
Hi, it's Dr. Jamie Turndorf here, and I have a question for you. Are you or someone you love a veteran suffering from undiagnosed PTSD? According to statistics, between 100 and 200,000 vets suffer PTSD. But did you know that there's an arbitrary diagnostic loophole that denies the PTSD diagnosis to vets who suffer a coexisting mental health disorder? Meanwhile, according to the British Psychiatric Journal, it is rare for vets to suffer PTSD without a coexisting mental health disorder. This means that millions of vets with PTSD don't even know they have it and aren't getting treatment for it. Read my new column, Winning the War on PTSD, in mastersofhealthmag.com and discover a cutting-edge, research-backed new solution to PTSD that you've never heard about. The exciting news is this solution is free for vets with PTSD. Go to mastersofhealthmag.com, take my free PTSD quiz right away, and start your healing journey today. Wishing you all the love in this world and beyond, I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Love Never Dies is now on the Dream Vision 7 radio network every Wednesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern Time. Dr. Jamie Turndorf, also known as Dr. Love, is the #1 international best-selling author of Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased. If you're grieving the loss of a loved one, tune in and find out how to reconnect and heal any unfinished business using Dr. Turndorf's groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique. Visit AskDrLove.com to find out more.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
You're listening to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you can't stop crying over the bodily loss of a loved one, Dr. Turndorf's #1 international bestseller, Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, will show you how to toss out the tissues and transform your grief into joy using her groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique that enables you to reconnect and even heal unfinished business with those in spirit without the assistance of a medium, channeler, or psychic. Sign up for Dr. Love's free newsletter at AskDrLove.com and receive an exciting gift, a free excerpt of Love Never Dies. And now, back to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
And Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love. And we're back for the final segment with my beloved Ken Page. And we're talking about your new platform. So this is a labor of love for you.
Oh, yes.
My goodness. You're bringing your work out in a global way.
Yes, yes. And the response already has been amazing. Truly, truly amazing. So many people are interested in this because everyone is looking for the latest technology to create connection. But the bottom line is if the medium, if the environment doesn't spawn intimacy, like if you don't start with intimacy, it's going to be much harder to get to intimacy. And there are actually like 5 points in the journey of looking for love that they're targeted sites that if we could inject just a few wisdom skills at each of those 5 points, so many more people would find love.
So can you talk about those 5 points and the wisdom skills?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the first one is, and I'm talking about online dating here, although most of it applies everywhere. The first is when you write your profile and you choose your pictures and you want to stop worrying about being witty. You want to show who you really are. You want to tell stories about who you really are. You want to find photos that, of course, make you look good, but a photo that shows your soul too, because that's going to radiate out to the right person. I promise you. So those are some of the skills that you need in that, and there's more, but I'm just saying some of the basic ones. Then the next one is when you search, when you start searching or swiping or whatever you do. And some of the key skills are, I'll tell you where you need to stretch and where you need to not stretch. And where you need to stretch is just going a little further with your age limits in both directions, going a little further with your height directions, going a little further with weight, going a little further with education. Someone might be less educated than you would wish for, or more educated, and it's intimidating. Stretching in all those places and location too. Because what I say to people is, if your soulmate lived 30 miles outside of your furthest boundary, would you say no to them? No. So raise your boundaries, stretch it out. Where you actually have to be more careful is in looking for character. My dear friend Hara Moreno, who's the advice columnist for Psychology Today, she says there are 3 C's that you must have in finding the right partner. Every one of them is essential. And those are character, character, and character. And she's right. That's where you don't stretch. That's where you discriminate deeply. You notice selfishness. You notice dishonesty. And you register that. You register it right away. So those are some examples there. Then the third sight along the journey is when you first reach out with someone. And when you do that, you want to be vulnerable. You want to listen. You want to share who you are. You actually want to be kind and generous. And unfortunately, current dating behavior sculpts cold and jerky behavior. You want to go against the tide. You want to be gracious and kind, and you want to look for those people who get how important that is and act the same, because that's the path to happiness.
Absolutely. And to actually look at a person, not all this texting. You see people when they're out to dinner and they're both texting other people.
Right,
No
right.
connection.
Absolutely. And then now we get to, based on that, the next site in this journey. And that is when you actually are interacting, you actually have a first series of dates. And you want to be able to develop the skills where you get out of your head, because you will be thinking, is this person attractive enough? Am I attractive enough? Are they this enough? Am I that enough? There's no way your head is not going to be spinning with that stuff. But when you drop down to your gut level on a date, you'll find something different. You'll find that there's an inner weather that you're experiencing in connection with that person. On paper, this person might be gold, but inside you feel cold. This person might not be exactly what you're looking for, but inside you feel a warmth and a happiness and a safety. I am like Mr. Feelings. My husband is a tech guy. You would not picture we would be a match. But when I'm with him, the sense of goodness and expansion and sweetness and freedom is like a substance. It's like a state. I never would have guessed that with this guy who can't talk about feelings.
And but he doesn't talk about feelings, but you get the right feeling with him.
Exactly. He can talk about my feelings with me endlessly, and God knows I spend a lot of time. Not so much his, but yeah.
That's it, because maybe you needed somebody to be able to attune to your feelings, and he doesn't need that.
That's exactly true. So it's the inner state, and there's so much work there. And then the next one is when feelings really start to develop. There are skills that we need to know, and I'll just say one of them. This is the thing that kept me single for decades, and it's what I call the wave of distancing. And it's when you meet someone, I don't know if you ever had this, Jamie, in your life, but you meet someone, you're attracted to them, they seem nice, you're interested. All of a sudden you realize they're truly, truly not going anywhere. And they really like you. And there's no drama around their availability. And all of a sudden you want to run for the hills. All of a sudden you notice a nose hair. And it just like you can't even look at their face.
You're running from the connection. You're You're looking for any excuse.
Yes, unconsciously, because inside you know you found someone who could be available. Now, if people don't know this, they're going to run. They're going to think inside, oh my God, I am so screwed up. I can't even love. But they're going to feel like, well, I'm not interested enough. I'm running. I'm going back to the hunt. I'm out of here. And this is the biggest destroyer of healthy love, because you usually only experience this with someone who's available and steady and solid. So these are just some examples of the skills that we need to inject
You know,
at
I'm
each one
thinking
of these sites.
as you talk to people and you work so deeply, if you want to run, we got to go back to that core wound of I don't feel lovable. Somebody's here who's finally ready to love me, but I don't want to be seen and I don't want to stay because you're going to find out how unlovable I am. You know, we come back to that.
Exactly. And here's how that will present. It won't present in an easy way like, oh, I'm unlovable because I'm too sensitive. No, it'll present like this. I'm unlovable because I'm 25 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
I'm unlovable because my nose looks funny.
The cover
I'm
story.
unlovable because I'm right. It's going to be something that is very hard to refute. But then if you ask the person to think, what are
Yes.
the emotional, spiritual qualities that you feel ashamed of getting naked around and showing? Those are the key ones. Those are the real ones.
You know, this is such an incredible mission that you are offering the world. I am so, so happy that you're doing this. It is, I mean, I'm speechless. I didn't know this is what your new project was, but you're going to save so many, feels like millions of souls
I
because
am hoping for
I
exactly
feel
that.
that because you know we are pebbles in the proverbial love pond, and when you form a beautiful bond energetically, it goes out on the quantum field, and it's a pebble in the love pond. Your love with your husband is healing humanity. So all these loving relationships you're going to be creating through your site are
Yeah.
healing the world.
It's amazing. It really is. And actually so many people in really a number of the bigger apps and websites are coming to us and saying, we want to know more because it's such a key. You create intimacy by starting with an intimate environment. So, but I feel like Jamie, you and I are very similar in that way. We get a mission in our heads. It's around love, and we're really pretty intrepid about it.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's all, I realize it all comes back. All roads lead to Rome or home, the bullseye, do you know?
It's
And
so true.
it's all and whatever angle you're taking. I mean, when I thought about it, okay, so I've spent my life, right, with my early professional life and all the books that I wrote was helping people use the intimate relationship to heal the old scars from childhood, the old scars that lead you to choose a partner that repeats the old scars, and how you
Yes.
can consciously use the relationship to be aware of the old scars and work together to heal the old scars. And as you do, the fighting fades, right? So that's been the conflict resolution work. Then I bring it to the world of after death communication when I realize people don't die, they just leave their bodies. So again, we're healing the relationship and improving the connection. And you're doing the same thing.
Yes, yes, it's so true. It's so true.
The same
Different roads, but to the same place. And Jamie, I just in the time that we have left, I would love to give an insight, a tool to two tools to
please.
all the viewers. And the tools are these. Can I do that? Can I just share these
Love you
tools?
to, please.
Great, great, great. So here's one tool. It's what I call the intimacy fix, and it's really quick and really easy. And here's what it is. At any given moment, you say, where am I on this beautiful target image? How close am I to my heart? How can I scooch over just a little bit more to the bullseye of this place? How can I realign so that's who I am? What can I do right now? And
Like,
that the answer that you get will be your gorgeous, gorgeous wisdom. So that's the intimacy fix, and it's something you could do a million times a day. And the other one is just to help you understand how to discover your core gifts. And, by the way, if you go to deeperdatingpodcast.com, you'll be able to get the first two chapters of my best-selling book, Deeper Dating, which in those two chapters, I teach the whole process of discovering your core gifts. But apart from that, there are two questions that each one of you can ask in your day-to-day life to discover what your core gifts are. And these are the two questions, and they're just the best questions for figuring out your user's manual to your life. And here are the questions. What things inspire me the most? What things make my heart quicken the most? Those are keys to your mission. They're keys to your love language. And then the second is, what things hurt my heart the most? What things cause me pain, bother me, make me feel sadness, make me feel emptiness, despair, anger? Those are the keys to your compassion. The places where your heart breaks the most are the places where you care the most. The places where you care the most are where your soul gifts live. So these are just two exercises that are just so useful. And if you try,
Love it.
yeah, and if you try that second one for 2 days, you just note the things that inspire your heart and the things that hurt your heart, and you note them down. It'll be like a connect the dots puzzle. When you join it together, you will get a picture of
What's
what
so
your core
brilliant
gifts are.
about your work is how you take such deep intrapsychic work and you distill it down to such a simple technique that gives access to this process and gives you a way of unlocking.
Thank you for saying that. And it's so funny because I know you relate to this. That simple is decades of thinking and work and struggle.
Oh my God, to crystallize it in this way.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is, not only is your decades of work that brings you to this, you are offering the shortcuts now
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
masses, because you don't have to go 30 years of who am I and what's you're showing the way in. You're unlocking
Yeah.
doors.
Yeah.
So, Ken, I can't believe we have 1 minute left.
Oh,
Give your coordinates so everyone can find you one more
perfect. Yeah, deeperdating.com, which will be live in a few days. It may even be live today, linked up, and deeperdatingpodcast.com.
That's everything. It's so simple and yet deep. And Ken, I mean, every time we meet, I always say, "Oh, I wish we lived next door. I wish you would, I could see."
Yes.
I always feel this way. And again, now, my door is always open to you.
Oh,
Anytime
vice
you want to
versa.
come back, right?
Thank
To
you
talk
so
about how it's
much.
going, and
And I want to have you on my podcast and in my deeper dating events. And I love this idea of using this platform to create family.
I could feel my husband in spirit led me to say it, because I never told anyone about it. I told you today, so
Wow.
I know, and I got chills, and I heard him say, "Just tell him." So I'm so happy.
Me
And so
too.
now I
Me
know we
too.
were going to stay and have a little chat with each other. So what I'm going to do is just say, let's wait till the outro music closes, and then we won't be live, and then you and I can chat some more. And you'll give me my phone. I'll give you your phone number. You'll give me. I'll give you my phone number, and you'll give me yours.
It's a deal. Oh, this was just a joy. Oh my God.
Delightful. So I'll see you soon. Everyone, just follow Ken. He is your guide to the heart and soul of yourself, to connection to your core gifts. Ken is wonderful. See you next time on Love Never Dies on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, and Dr. Turndorf, Turn on the Love on Binge Networks TV.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.